Well, we've been covering or getting ready for this night for quite a while, Rich. We talked to a few of the coaches, a lot of new quarterbacks. That seems to be kind of a popular theme. One of the popular storylines going into week number one is all the unknowns that's going on with a lot of these teams. One of the big ones, I'd say the biggest quarterback hole to fill, is Nashua South's departure of Trevor Knight.
Yeah, absolutely, and they have a tough task. We'll play some sound later from Coach Knight as we talked to him earlier in the week as they were preparing for Salem, getting ready to go, and Coach Knight really talking about how Salem has always been kind of on their Achilles heels list. Look, we're ready to rock and roll here. We got teams covered everywhere. Nick, you talk about quarterbacks, one quarterback. You talked about Trevor Knight. He's going to be doing his thing up at UNH for the next 4 years. But one team does not need a quarterback, and that's the defending champs, the Concord Crimson. They returned Robert Law, quarterback, who really emerged as the X factor last year for the Concord Crimson. 0 interceptions the entire season. That is just a remarkable feat for anybody. I mean, fluke pass, tip pass, Nick, anything like that, and the play could have been intercepted. But no, Robert Law was so efficient and effective last year in guiding the Concord Crimson to the state title. Of course, he had Walters Endy, Mark Gaudette helping him out in the backfield, but I firmly believe Robert Law was the key cog in that team to win the championship last year. You talk about teams that need a quarterback, Nick.
Yeah.
Well, the Concord Crimson are all set.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's maybe why they've got such an advantage going in. They've got the state's longest win streak intact at 14 games. They host Goffstown, as you mentioned, tonight. We've got our own Tom Rowe, one of our veteran correspondents up there. We're going to get some pregame reports here started towards the bottom of the hour. And again, a dozen games covered, including 9 of the 10 in Division I tonight. You want to jump into the poll now, Rich? I know some folks have been kind of knocking at our door. When's the poll coming? What's the story with the top 10? Well, we've got it right here. Do we make them sweat it out a little longer? What do you want to do?
Yeah, I think we've waited long enough. We teased it all week on the High School Insider Show. Make sure you tune in every night, 6 to 7 o'clock, weekly for that. But, look, we've teased them long enough. Why don't we unveil that?
All right, let's do it. Let's start with the outsiders. Others receiving votes. Londonderry getting 2. That was a playoff team from a year ago. New head coach, former West High head coach Jimmy Lauzon steps in year number 1. Londonderry in a wide-open South Conference, with the exception of Pinkerton. Certainly one of the contenders in that conference. All right, Goffstown got 3 votes but did not crack the top 10. That's a team that finished strong a year ago, Rich, with some returning pieces.
Yeah, they were my number 10. They were in my top 10 poll. Look, Casey Gervais, you talk about quarterbacks, and we talked about that right off the bat. He got his feet wet last year, taking over in an impossible situation, taking over for Connor Benjamin, probably one of the best, if not the best, Goffstown Grizzly to ever walk those hallways. And he did a good job last year. Now he's another year seasoned. He has Connor Bork, a running back with great playmaking ability. In the jamboree last week, he had a great jamboree with a couple of touchdowns and 100 yards. So, look, Goffstown can put up points. I think they're going to be a team that's going to be new to the north. So they're an unknown commodity up there. All new faces for them, but also they're an unfamiliar foe to those folks in the north.
Yeah, and again, that's Goffstown Concord coming up a little bit later on. We're going to check that one out with Tom Rowe. Others receiving votes, we mentioned the Lancers, we mentioned the Grizzlies. How about the Milford Spartans in Division II, considered a contender? They got some attention. In D1, Manchester Central didn't help their cause by getting spanked in the Jamboree, to be frank, a week ago tonight by Bishop Girton. They did not crack the top 10 for the first time in probably years in this FNL poll. Salem, as you mentioned, got a couple of votes. That's a program going in the right direction. And Keene still garnering some support after a very good year last year, in which that defense brought them into the playoffs, deep into the playoffs. But they lost a lot, as we know, out there on the Vermont border, and Keene going to try and rebuild, I think, this year in 2014. All right, let's get to the top 10. Number 10, Seacoast team, the Winnicott Warriors. New quarterback, the coach's son, going to take over the program after Inghau Vesna was lost to graduation. Winnicott, as we know, Rich, a very good program. They don't rebuild, they reload. It's a cliche, but I think it applies to Coach Affont and the Warriors.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that you were high on them. I think they were in your top 10 poll. So
Yep.
look for the Warriors. They're out there on the Seacoast. They're going to be with Exeter, but they always play Exeter tough, and they're going to be right there in the end like they always are.
Number 9, Division II team. In fact, the defending champion, Plymouth Bobcats. New year, new regime for the first time in nearly 4 decades after Hall of Famer Chuck Linehan retired. And a new program they hired in-house and a new head coach. Old program, I'd say, and we'll see how the Bobcats do in Division II as the defending champs. All right, Wyndham is the highest-ranked D2 team. You like Wyndham, Rich. Why?
Well, look, before we get to Wyndham, let's touch on Plymouth just for a quick second.
Okay.
We talked about an impossible situation for Casey Gervais taking over Connor Benjamin. What about Plymouth and their new head coach taking over for Chuck Linehan? This is the first time in a long time, to say the least, the Plymouth Bobcats will take the field without National Hall of Fame coach Chuck Linehan on the sidelines for the Bobcats. What an interesting dynamic that'll be tomorrow. I'm sure the town will be ready to go. I'm sure Coach will be there somewhere in attendance. But what a remarkable thing that's going to be for the Bobcats tomorrow for the first time in a long time to be on the sidelines without Chuck Linehan. But to Wyndham, look, I am high on them. They returned a lot of starters from last year. They are loaded at every single position. Bill Raycraft has built a very solid program over there for the Jaguars since he's emerged over there. Look, Wyndham is a team that was right there last year. They were right there the year before. They have been knocking on the doorstep the last couple of years. I remember 2 years ago they nearly beat Trinity in the semifinals before Trinity went on to lose to Plymouth in the championship. And then last year they were right there again. So I think this year is the year they finally get over the hump. I think the Jaguars are definitely the team to beat in the South.
As we continue to unveil our Week 1 Friday Night Lights poll, again a recap, Winnicott at 10, Plymouth 9, Wyndham at 8. Portsmouth comes in at number 7. First year as a Division I program. The Clippers were in the Division II championship a season ago, and they've really had success, Rich, no matter where they've played. Doesn't surprise me that Portsmouth does crack the top 10, although I personally would like to see how they do a little bit with a couple games under their belt in D1 first.
Yeah, I'm going to wait and watch there, but look, they have a guy on the defensive line in Justin Mattis-Clark. I watched him personally play in the championship last year when they came up just short against Plymouth, and I mean just short, fumbling in the last seconds on the goal line to eventually lose in overtime. He's a beast. I mean, he is going to clog up the middle all season long for the Clippers. McFarland, one of the wide receiver playmakers, returns. But they're a team, as you talked about at the top of the hour, that's filling a hole at quarterback. Donovan Fenor has moved on. He has graduated. So we'll see what life is without Donovan, the playmaker, at the quarterback position.
Number 6, the Bishop Girton Cardinals. 6-3 a year ago under head coach Travis Cody. And they, as we mentioned, put a pretty good beatdown on Central at Gill Stadium a week ago in the Jamboree. I know they've got a guy that you love in Jackson Hausman, the junior.
Yeah, he's my breakout star candidate of the season. I don't think there's any question that if you don't know the name Jackson Hausman right now, get familiar with it and get familiar fast, because he is quickly going to become a breakout star, I believe, for the Bishop Girton Cardinals. He's a dynamic running back with power, strength, vision, all of the qualities a tailback needs to be a great one, and that's exactly what Coach Cody has on his hands in the junior. We saw him emerge last year and come up clutch with a huge game-winning touchdown reception in one of the biggest wins of the year last year for Bishop Girton, and I think that's only scratching the surface of what he's going to be. But he's not alone, Nick. Calvin Rivera is a very good player that returns for the Cardinal, and their quarterback, brand new quarterback, you talked about it, he has big-time arm strength, he's got quarterback pocket presence, and I think that he is going to be very good.
You're talking about Jordan Hisco, right?
JT Hisco, yes. Jordan Hisco is going to be very good for them, and look for him and Jackson Hausman to quickly become one of the best duos.
It's Friday Night Lights here, back for a 13th season, unveiling for the first time the FNL poll comprised of how many voters? 8, 9, 10
9.
voters? Yep, 9.
9 to keep the tie away.
The privileged 9 to keep the tie away. Very good. All right. Again, 10 Winnicott at 9, Plymouth 8th, Wyndham 7, Portsmouth 6, BG number 5, Exeter. Now that's got to be a household name at this point. That's a very good program, a very good feeder program in place with Bill Ball, one of the legendary coaches in the Granite State, overlooking the whole operation. Back-to-back titles, of course, most recently in 2011 and 2012.
Well, Exeter is there because, look, they do one thing better than anybody, and that's just produce linemen. Every year we're talking about the strength of the team being the offensive line. No different this year. 3 of the top linemen in the state wear Blue Hawk uniforms. So we're going to see what we always see from a coached Bill Ball team, and that's the T running the football, ground and pound you, and that's what they're going to do. And we'll wait for the predictions later on tonight, but I think Central will be in for a long night tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. We've got a brand new correspondent, Steve Finley, over at the scene. He'll be checking in with us shortly from Gill Stadium. Number 4, Nashua South. They're on the road tonight at Salem. They'll be tested right off the bat. We talked to Coach Knight, Rich, and we know that they've got a lot coming back. Coach is excited despite the loss of his son, former quarterback Trevor Knight.
I'll tell you what, the quarterbacks we have, they have the ability to throw it and run a little bit. Will we be different? You may see us, it could be a 15-play drive. Yeah, that could happen. Might we be in some 2-back sets and running some ISOs and powers and things like that? You may see some of that.
Well, that's one thing about the spread. You can adapt it and basically use it however you want. And I think they're going to run the football behind some of those big linemen up front. They return 9 starters on both sides of the ball, Rich Flera. South is going to be a contender.
Absolutely, and Andrew DeCarteret is one of the best fullbacks in the state, and he's going to be opening up things for the Purple Panthers to get to some of that passing game. I think we're going to see a little less big plays from the Purple Panthers, and obviously that happens when Trevor Knight graduates and moves on. So I think you're going to see more long, sustained drives. You mentioned the running game. I think they're going to wear opponents out, but they have a tough test tonight. As Coach Knight already said, that Salem's always a tough place to play for them.
Number 3, Bedford, the Bulldogs, 7-2 in 2013. Missed out on the playoffs, Rich, and, well, they knew going into that last regular season game against Central that they had to win to get in. They didn't. And Coach wanted to use it as a motivating factor throughout the offseason.
What I did was the Monday we got back into the weight room, we started the Monday after the season ended, back in the weight room. I had posted just to remember Central, about the weight benches, about the squat racks, by the power clean rack.
Well, that's one way to get your team focused early on. He said, eventually we took those Remember Central signs down and wanted to focus against the Week 1 opponent, Memorial. Tommy Amin is over in the Queen City. He'll have our coverage there in just a few minutes. And finally, the top 2 teams in our poll, number 1 and number 2. It might not be who you think. We're going to come back with that. More in a moment here. Friday Night Lights just getting going. We're going to open up the phones. We're going to get our pregame reports going, and I'll give you the top 2 teams in our poll. That's next here on Friday Night Lights, year number 13. Here on ESPN New Hampshire and online at ESPNNHradio.com. Athletes have long utilized chiropractic care as a key component to their physical health. Whether you are a recreational fitness enthusiast or a professional athlete, they all use chiropractic care to keep them performing at their optimum best. Call 882-7769, mention this radio ad, and receive a courtesy consultation worth over $150. Find out how you too can benefit from chiropractic care just like the millionaire athletes right here in Nashua. Call Arrow Straight Chiropractic today.
An ESPN Radio Mike and Mike Extra Point.
So Gino Auriemma, who is the basketball coach at the University of Connecticut, through an intermediary, a friend of his, checked with the school's compliance department and then got on the phone with Monet Davis to congratulate her. An unnamed representative of another program, and they can report these things anonymously,
yes,
called that in as a violation.
Right.
Because would anyone put their name to that? I'll just say this. I challenge you, whoever you were, that called that in as a violation, come out from under the rock. Come out into the light and tell everyone that you decided to call the NCAA and say that should be a violation. That person will never do so. I would much rather my daughter play for the coach who called Monet Davis than the coach or whomever it was from whatever school it was where they called that in as a violation.
Hear more from Mike and Mike Monday morning on ESPN Radio.
Here's a dose of reality. Colder weather is on its way. Hopefully, not inside your house. That's why the Home Depot now has select special order Anderson windows and patio doors for 10% off. So, let's stop winter cold with top quality windows, patio doors, and a very real 10% savings. Let's do this. Special order Anderson windows and patio doors, 10% off. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. Valid through September 10th. U.S. only. See store for details.
You can make a world of difference with a little flu shot. When you get your immunization at Walgreens, you'll help provide a life-saving vaccine to a child in need through the UN Foundation's Shot at Life campaign. Thanks to customers like you, last year we helped supply 3 million vaccines. This year, let's give even more. Simply get a shot and give a shot. Walgreens, at the corner of happy and healthy.
Valid through October 13th, 2014. Aggregate donation up to $1 million. Vaccine subject to availability. Some restrictions may apply. See walgreens.com/get-a-shot.
The Hanover Street Chop House has taken fine dining in the city of Manchester to a whole new level. We know about the food, the hand-cut steaks, the chops, the fresh fish, but now you can eat like a king at lunchtime as well with their new business lunch, which features 3 courses for just $15. Sip some wine at the piano bar or check out the new Raw Bar every Thursday. It's the Hanover Street Chop House, 149 Hanover Street in Manchester. Place your reservation at 603-644-CHOP. That's 644-2467 or visit HanoverStreetChopHouse.com.
The fall driving season is here, and Sullivan Tire and Auto Service has just what you need. Announcing our spectacular September tire event. We've got something on sale for every vehicle and every budget. All Goodyear and Dunlop tires are 15% off. Get instant rebates on Bridgestone, Michelin, BF Goodrich, and General tires. On our Sullivan Value line of tires, buy 3 and get the 4th one free, or the 2nd for 50% off. Save even more with manufacturer mail-in rebates on many of today's top brands. See SullivanTire.com.
Veteran Chimney and Stove Shop is Southern New Hampshire's affordable chimney and masonry service while specializing in wood stove and pellet stoves. At Veteran Chimney, they look forward to working with you while maintaining their company's core values of honor, courage, and commitment. Veteran Chimney is your everything chimney company. Give them a call at 603-440-3801 or go visit their showroom in Merrimack, New Hampshire at 557 Daniel Webster Highway or visit their website at veteranchimney.com. Veteran Chimney, bringing the heat.
You want sports? How about the Red Sox, Bruins, and Celtics? Hear them all right here on ESPN New Hampshire.
Yeah, Mike Vallis, as you mentioned, I think people throughout the state hear the name Vallis and they get excited, just like every other Vallis I've ever met. I mean, he's a character young man. This year we are looking for him to lead our offense as the quarterback. The natural progression for him is being that threat on the ground.
Bedford head coach Kurt Hines talking about his new quarterback, Mike Vallis, 2-year starter moving over to take the snaps this year. Tommy Amin is at Memorial. Bulldogs Crusaders going to kick off top of the hour. One of 12 games we've got covered for you here on Friday Night Lights, week number 1. Nick Anastas, Rich Flera, Matt the Stat Poirier here in the studio. Let's bring in our first correspondent of the night. It's a game in Division 2 between the Souhegan Sabres and Monadnock. Steve Ludwig of Sports NH joins us. Andrew, excuse me. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. We appreciate you being on board. What can you tell us about tonight's game out there in Swansea?
So we got Monadnock versus Souhegan. Last year was a pretty big blow on Monadnock's favor, but Monadnock's team's changed quite a bit. They lost a lot of stars this last season, and their defense should be what it always is. It should be a low-scoring game, but we'll have to see what Monadnock's offense can do with a pretty much entirely new backfield.
Again, Andrew Ludwig on the phone with us talking about a Division II matchup, Souhegan and Monadnock. That could be a long ride for the Souhegan kids. Do you think the Sabres are ready to play?
They look ready. They look ready for revenge from last season. I think that they took Monadnock lightly last year, and I don't think they're going to be doing that again this year.
All right, Andrew, we're going to keep checking in with you throughout the night. We appreciate the time.
All right, good luck, guys.
Again, that's Andrew Ludwig, Sports NH, checking in from Swansea. Monadnock, Rich, very good team a year ago in Division 2. Do they have enough back to do it again?
Well, we're about to find out. Andrew on the scene would know better than anyone living out there in that side of the state. I think that, look, he brings up a good point. Souhegan has revenge factor on their mind after taking him lightning and getting waxed by Monadnock last season. But look, Coach Lockman and it's Mike Lockman in his second season over there for the Souhegan Sabres. I think he has that program where he wants it to be. So we'll see if they can get off to a good start here tonight.
One of 5 games tonight in Division II. Laconia and Lebanon getting together later on. Kennett at Merrimack Valley. Pembroke takes on Kearsarge. And our own Mike Bellevue, one of the assistants with Conval, will give us his post-game thoughts after Conval faces Pelham on the road. Again, 9 of the 10 Division I games are being covered by us. And we are going to get you some pregame reports here in just a moment. Mark Breton, another one of our new correspondents, is out at Timberlane. North is visiting there. Winnicott will take on Dover in an old-fashioned Seacoast battle. Steve Craig of the Seacoast Media Group is on the scene. Jim FNL, also of Sports NH, out in Merrimack as Keene takes on the upstart Tomahawks. We mentioned Bedford and Memorial. We've got Tommy Amin there. Pinkerton will host Alvern. Brett Farrell of the Nashua Telegraph will give us one more correspondence, and also Tom Rowe up at the state capitol for the state champion, Concord Crimson Tide, going to defend their Division I crown, or at least try to tonight, against Goffstown. Rich, we gave you the poll, or we gave the listeners the poll before the break. Again, Winnicott at number 10. 2 Division II teams at 8 and 9. That's Wyndham and Plymouth, respectively. Division I Portsmouth at 7. BG at 6. Exeter at 5. Nashua South at 4. Bedford at 3, and we stop there. The top two teams from a year ago in Division I, but in reverse order. Concord, the defending champ, undefeated a year ago, comes in at number 2 in our poll, losing a close percentage point, really, battle with Pinkerton, who is our preseason number 1. Now, the big reason was last week, the headline game at the Manchester Queen City Jamboree, a rematch of the D1 title, and it was an exhibition, as we know, 2 quarters of play, but Concord was pushed around a little bit by Pinkerton. The Astros look good. They won the game 14-0, and they are our number 1 team heading into the season. Rich, your thoughts on that?
Well, it is a new season, but with that said, I think I like what Concord brings back to the table. Pinkerton's big. I mean, they are very big up front, averaging 6'3" to 6'4" on the offensive line, which is just incredible and an absolute advantage for any team to have. But I talked about Robert Law and his advantage. He's also a dual threat. He didn't have to do a lot of that last year. I think we're going to see him become a little bit more of a playmaker this year. And Leo Sade, the running back, returns. He was suspended last year, didn't have a big impact at the end of the season, but he was very good for them in the first half before really letting Mark Gaudette take over the reins after the suspension to help out Walter Zendy. I think that combination of Law and Sade is very good, but TJ Urabank will take over at running back here for the Astros from Manny Lattimore a year ago. He is going to be a dynamic playmaker for them, but you're the champ. And in order to say that you're the new team, new bully on the block, you got to beat the champ. Yeah. That's the way I see it.
I agree. I had Concord Pinkerton at 1-2 in that order, but apparently we were in the minority. All right, let's check in with Mark Breton, one of our brand new correspondents. He is on the road tonight at Timberlane, Nashua North, the visiting team. Mark, how are things out there in Plastow?
Things are going awesome right now. The team's just got back into the locker room after warm-up. Light breeze right here, still a little humid. Sun's going down. Seats are filling up. Looks like Nashua North might need a little bit more seats covered there, but Timberlane's filling in, and looks like it's going to be a good crowd.
Mark, Nashua North features dynamic running back, third-year starter Dimitri Jackson. What do you think are the odds that he gets off to a hot start tonight against the Timberlane Owls defensive front?
Well, I'll tell you what, I was keeping an eye on him during pregame. He looked very quick to me. Looked like he was bursting right out of speed. Looked like he just got out of the gym, dude. Like, he was wicked fast.
Yeah, he's been a producer for a while, and North is going to lean on him a little bit. What about on the other side? Any players catch your eye during warm-ups for Timberlane?
The big guy, number 69, Jake Palestine, the senior. Big guy, 6'5", 293.
Wow.
Plays guard and defensive tackle. I'm keeping my eye on him to see what he can do on both sides of the ball.
All right, we appreciate the insight, Mark. Let's talk once the game gets going.
Okay.
Thank you. That's Mark Breton out there in Plastow, getting set for Timberlane and Nashua North. And by the way, coverage of the Nashua North Titans brought to you by Arrow Straight Chiropractic. Got pain, they can help. Call for your appointment today at 603-882-7769 or visit NashuaChiropractors.com.
Yeah, look, he talked about Dimitri Jackson looking fast, and he just got out of the gym. That's how all the opponents feel when he's running at him. I mean, he is going to be a big-time factor in the success the Titans have this year. The Titans will go as far as Dimitri Jackson will take them, Nick. I mean, he's definitely going to be the bell cow of that offense, but he does it on defense as well. So look for him to be the X factor tonight. Tyler Fury, game-time decision. If he plays, that's a big, big thing for the Owls. But if he doesn't, that's going to hurt him. Freshman Jacob Post will get the majority of the carries. I know Coach Fitzgerald talked about him and what he can do the other night on the High School Insiders. But without Fury, I just feel like it's going to be a tall mountain to climb for the Owls tonight.
Yeah, again, that's North at Timberlane. The Owls only one win from a season ago. Rich, we had a chance to catch up with Scott Fitzgerald and Kevin Fitzgerald, the head coach, and he felt like if Fury is healthy and in that backfield, then they've got some options, dynamic options on offense.
We'll go as far as our offensive backfield takes us right now. I mean, that's a strength for us. Tyler Fury had a good season last year as a sophomore. He's back as a junior. He's missed some time in the preseason with a hamstring injury, and we're hoping to have him tomorrow night.
Yeah, and again, he is really the biggest star on our New Hampshire Orthopedic Center injury report. New Hampshire Orthopedic Center, the official orthopedic surgeons of Friday Night Lights. Visit NHOC.com.
Our folks over there at the New Hampshire Orthopedic Center are the best, but I hope to avoid having to put a lot of players in that category.
Nick Anastas, Rich Flera, Matt the Stat Poirier holding it down. Week number 1, year number 13 of Friday Night Lights. Let's head out to the Seacoast. Steve Craig of the Seacoast Media Group standing by. Winnicott and Dover getting together. Steve, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
How's the summer been going, bud?
Oh, it's fabulous, but it is over now, right?
It is. It's football season. How's Winnicott looking?
Well, Winnicott's a team that I would say has a fair amount of question marks, but they feel they have some talent with an improved line that kind of had to play under fire last year. They'll start a new quarterback who is head coach Ron Offen's son. His name is Brian Offen. He's a junior, about 5'11", 180, pretty solid kid. Actually showed he likes to hit last year playing special teams. He struggled a bit in the preseason with a lower back problem they've had to monitor. So Offen said he suspects that tonight and maybe the first couple weeks the pass game will be a little behind. When it kind of feels they have 3 pretty quality backs this year, although none have experience. The leading returning rusher had 5 carries last year. His name is Christian LaRosa, who seems to be the type of kid who goes north-south but has a nice little ability to spin out of tackles.
Steve, tell us a little bit about Dover. Last year, Coach Osborne made it known that the numbers in the program were down, but they were still going to compete. Just talk about what they bring this year and how do they look?
The number problem is the big story for Dover. Ken Osborne confirmed to me on Thursday morning that the varsity program is in some real serious issues in regards to numbers, and it's so tenuous that if injuries really hit this club, it might be honestly hard for them to compete, 5-6 weeks into the season. There's 2 numbers that really jump out. Well, I guess 3. First, he has 28 players on the varsity. That's awfully small for a Division I program. But while he said 28 would be something he could work with, the real problem is he only has 4 players that he identified as having legitimate varsity experience. 4 players. Wrap your head around that for a minute.
Right.
And then maybe even more concerning is that of that 28, only 6 are linemen.
Wow.
So, you get 2 linemen hurt. As he said, now you're going to have to put it back in the line. And it'll be very interesting to see how well they compete tonight. Dover has a pretty proud tradition. And I recall being here just 2 years ago. And that was the year Winnicott won it all in Division II. And,
right.
They needed a late field goal from girls soccer star Carly Gould to take it to overtime where they won.
Right.
That's and 3 years ago, Dover wiped them out with Winnicott. I mean, it wasn't even a contest. They were so far superior to Winnicott. So it does show how quickly things can change. The positive, if there is one for Dover, is that they have 40 freshmen trying out. They knew they were going to have this issue. I don't know if they knew it would be this severe, but athletic director Peter Wadden confirmed that, they saw this coming. And Osbon said that, this really started when the previous grades were in fourth or fifth grade, that they saw there was just sort of a dearth of participation.
Yeah, we got to get some kids to sign up. It's the bottom line.
Right? Yeah, well, it sounds like they have 40 freshmen. And Ken was pretty optimistic. He said they were good kids. They seem to be enthusiastic. And,
right.
There's always going to be a trickling down effect. That's probably the wrong phrase, but, a weeding out. But still, if you start with 40, I think it's reasonable to think that maybe 60% of them at least stay through their junior year, at least, hopefully 50 as seniors, and then you've got 20 seniors.
Yep.
So in a couple of years, these kids stick with the program. Dover should be right back in the thick of things.
Hey, appreciate the time tonight, Steve. Let's check in again once the game gets going.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. That's Steve Craig, Seacoast Media Group, Winnicott in our poll at number 10, trying to improve to 1-0 on the season. Let's head down to Merrimack, where our own Jim FNL of the Sports NH Group is on the phone. Keene at Merrimack tonight. Jim, you ventured from your homeland of Keene. That's quite a drive for you on night number one. This must be a big game, right?
Hey, opening night, you got to go somewhere. So we have somebody over. The only home game that we have in our area is Monadnock, so we have somebody there. So I had to be somewhere. So this one seemed like a good one.
But what do you think of Keene? They lost a whole lot, especially on defense. What's the latest with that program here heading into the season?
Well, they lost a whole lot everywhere. They have a returning safety who played cornerback last year. They have a returning running back, and they have a returning kicker, and that's about it. Everybody else is first-year kids or kids who have been in the program that didn't play a lot, because last year they had a really strong senior class that showed out with their record and getting to the second round of the playoffs. And those kids played a lot, and they played two ways. So they're having kids right now that are stepping in that haven't had a lot of time over the years. I think that they're optimistic, but they're small. So it's going to be very interesting. This being small and inexperienced on the line is not a good combination.
Hey, Jim, Rich Flair here. How you doing?
Good. How you doing, Rich?
Doing good. You talked about the returning running back, Tim Lane. He seemed to be pretty formidable once Alex Parento made the permanent move last year to quarterback. Talk about the leadership that Tim Lane brings to the table this year, being, as you said, one of only 3 returning players.
Well, you know what? Tim's kind of an explosive back. He's tough inside, and he's got some speed when he breaks it out. So he can be one of the top backs in the state. There's no doubt about it. One of the things that Tim's battled is injuries. It always seems that somewhere along the line he gets injured, he misses some time. If he stays healthy, Keene has something to build around. If not, they like their skill position. They have kids. The kid that started at quarterback last year before they made the move to Parento, a kid by the name of Hunter Mizuko, is going to also get some snaps in the backfield. He'll come out at flanker. They have a kid, Chance Glinka, who was getting a lot of time last year as a sophomore. He'll be at that split end flank position. They have a really tall target, kid by the name of John Link. He's a basketball player. He probably goes 6'4", and he's a target coming out. He's a good athlete. They have a tight end that's probably in the same range by the name of Glenn Gagne. So they have some athletes. Lucas Lauer is a kid who played defensive back last year as a sophomore. Was the only returning back there, and now he's going to go both ways. So they have some real skill positions. They got some talent and athletes. They have a first-year quarterback who's a senior. And an interesting story, his name is Dallas Landry. And Dallas actually goes to Dublin Christian Academy. And he's a Keene kid, and he played up in the youth system, and he was the quarterback. And he just never played. He never played football over at Keene. and he finally got a waiver from the NHIA to be able to play football over there this year, and he stepped in and he's their quarterback. So and he's, you know what, as much as Tim can be a leader and step forward, he's one of the captains. I think also Landry is stepping up and being that kind of leader. Even though it's his first year, the kids are familiar with him because he came up. He was their quarterback during most of their youth football. So they know him as a leader, and he's stepping up and taking that role.
Jim, we appreciate the time. As usual, let's talk again during the game.
All right, great. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. That's Jim FNL of Sports NH previewing Keene at Merrimack. And that preview brought to you by Veteran Chimney, your everything chimney company. Visit their showroom at 557 Daniel Webster Highway in Merrimack, New Hampshire. Veteran Chimney, bringing the heat.
Absolutely, all winter long. Veteran Chimney, your number one stove shop company. Look, Merrimack is going to be in for a battle tonight. He talked about Hunter Masuko. He'll return to the quarterback position where he got his feet wet last year. They were able to transition to Parento. Great luxury for a coach to be able to do that. But that experience last year, Nick, is invaluable for Masuko. He saw what it took to compete at the quarterback position at the varsity level, something Justin Crescini for Merrimack, the sophomore, has not done or has not seen. So that is a big-time advantage for Keene, having a quarterback with experience. They both have a very good running back to rely on, Tim Lane for Keene, Joe Giampietro for Merrimack. And I know Coach Lorendi was very high on Joe Giampietro.
I think what he brings is even beyond his physical play. I think he brings an attitude and a toughness, and the kids rely on that. You know, they know that how hard he works, and I think he kind of sets the tone for what we want to have, and kids follow his lead as far as work ethic goes.
They used to say that about Rich Flera back in the day, didn't they?
The work ethic, hopefully, maybe not so much.
Setting the tone in the weight room.
Setting the tone, I don't know about the work ethic. No, I'm just kidding. But look, Joey Giampietro comes from a family of brothers that all had that work ethic. I played with his oldest brother, Dan, and he was always in the weight room, and it seems like that kind of just fed off into his younger brothers, and Joe is an example of that, and he is a difference maker, Nick. I remember last year in the Jamboree, you looked at me and said, "Who's that?" And I said, "That's Joe Giampietro." And he caught your attention immediately. Unfortunately for him, he suffered a season-ending ACL injury, but he's rebounding from that. And if he's on the field, Jim FNL talked about Tim Lane being a difference maker. Joe Giampietro, offensively, but more importantly, defensively, is just that.
And again, we'll have updates from Jim coming throughout the night. One of 12 games we have covered for you and on tap here in both Divisions 1 and 2. It's Friday Night Lights, year number 13, week number 1 of the 2014 NHIAA football season. You can find us on Twitter as well. Heavy on Twitter tonight. Hashtags FNLNH. You can also follow the updates at ESPNNH. If you're not following us already, feel free to give us a shout. You're our eyes and ears as well. You're at a game, you're leaving a game, you got some information for us, hit us up. 603-883-9900. Text the show as well at 50352. All right, let's head over to Derry. Alvern getting their feet wet tonight against the top team in our poll, the Pinkerton Astros. Nashua Telegraph's Brett Farrell on the scene for us. Brett, what's going on out there?
Hey, guys. Well, I've got the late game for you all tonight. The words new era have been used to describe Alvern so far this preseason as head coach Tim Walsh makes his debut for the Broncos. He's their third coach in the last 3 seasons, but he's not unfamiliar to Alvern as he was the assistant coach working with defense last year. And speaking of last year, the Broncos went 1-8. They had a little bit of trouble with depth, which helped them last throughout the duration of the season. They ended up losing 4 of those games by 6 or 7 points. But in this season, they've got at least 6 returning starters, including Danny Brown at quarterback. The junior suffered from an injury last season that kept him on the sidelines, so they'll be happy to have him. Jack Mahoney will be at running back for the Broncos as well. And they've got 3 pretty tall, quick receivers for Brown to choose from. Also, that something that the Auburn Broncos are certainly enjoying is quite a bit of size up front, offensive line and defensive line, and their linebackers. They all look pretty big and very physical. But that old saying, the games are won and lost at the line of scrimmage, will certainly ring true tonight, as Pinkerton also has quite a bit of size, and as the guys mentioned, they're one of the top teams in the state. So I'll be looking at what happens at the line of scrimmage between the big guys and who's pushing who around. Auburn is in its second year of Division I, and Pinkerton, of course, is a pretty established Division I school. So this will be a pretty solid test for the Broncos right out of the gate.
Absolutely right. Hey, Brett, keep us updated tonight, bud. We'll check back in.
Yeah, you've got it. Hit me up on Twitter at Brett C. Farrell.
Thank you. That's Nashua Telegraph's own Brett Farrell. It's the High School Insiders. No, it's not. It's Friday Night Lights. Either way, it's the best high school football coverage in the state here on ESPN New Hampshire, online at ESPNNHradio.com. Again, Alvern looking to play spoiler tonight at number 1 Pinkerton. Coverage of the Broncos brought to you by Team Yarmo. Thinking of selling your home? Team Yarmo offers the quality service and advice you have every right to expect. Watch Paul's listening presentation at teamyarmo.com. All right, from number 1 to number 2, the defending champion, Concord Crimson Tide, hanging the banner tonight up there in the state capitol. Our own Tom Rowe, football junkie, in the stands. Mr. Rowe, how are you, sir?
It's football season. I'm as good as it can be, guys, and I'm glad to be back for another season of Friday Night Lights on ESPN New Hampshire, presented by the Bedford Ambulatory Surgical Center. Guys, go on. Sorry.
Well, I was about to ask you, what's the atmosphere like up there? Are they celebrating a championship, or are they getting into game mode tonight to try and take care of business?
They're slowly getting rowdy, but it's more game. It's business as usual for the Crimson Tide, defending champions, as you just mentioned. The crowd is slowly coming in, but they are slowly getting pumped as they are walking in here to Memorial Field in Concord, New Hampshire. But it's, again, a little mixture of both. It's an exciting atmosphere for sure, defending their championship from last year.
What about on the other side, Tom? What can you tell me about Goffstown?
They have been running, since I have been here, they have been very focused in their workouts. They're very aggressive in their workouts. And the Crimson Tide are just watching their opponents on the field as they go through their workout drills. They're very focused. They're looking to give a shot at the defending champs. It'll be they have a lot of holes. Can they go up against the defending champs?
Tom, I want to talk about Robert Law, the quarterback for the Concord Crimson Championship team. He was my breakout star candidate last year, and he was just that. Over 200 attempts without an interception. He was unbelievable in guiding the Concord Crimson to a state championship. How's he look in warm-up so far?
I think we may have lost Tom. I think he's gone. We'll see if we can get back to Tom as he continues to preview Goffstown at Concord. That report brought to you by the New Hampshire Steel Fabricators, custom metal packages for the construction industry. Learn more at nhsteelfab.com.
Well, it doesn't matter. I don't need Tom to tell me how Robert Law looks. He looks great. I'll go ahead and just say that. I can tell you without even being there that he's ready to go. I saw him in the offseason. He is so geared up for his senior year, take on the captaincy, and guide the Concord Crimson, hopefully, to another North championship for his sake. But look, he was my breakout guy last year. He didn't disappoint. Why? Because of presence. He just has that presence about him to demand the huddle, and he did just that as a junior. Even with seniors like Walters Endy and Mark Gaudette, he was able to steer them and guide them in the right direction. No intercept. I can't say that or emphasize that enough. 0 interceptions. That is unbelievable. It's not like just they throw 1 or 2 passes a game. I mean, they're chucking it around quite a bit up there in Concord. So that is just a remarkable feat, but that's the kind of player he is.
All right, back in a flash here. Getting closer to game time. Week number 1, NHIAA high school football. It's Friday Night Lights here on ESPN New Hampshire. And we're online as well at ESPNNHradio.com.
New Hampshire Steel Fabricators specializes in the design, fabrication, and installation of miscellaneous metal packages for the construction industry. Founded in 1981, the company is now recognized throughout New England as a leading supplier of custom architectural metalwork. All of their products are skillfully crafted to the highest industry standard of quality workmanship and competitively priced to maintain the bottom line. Call 603-668-3464 or visit nhsteelfab.com.
Sitting in traffic? That's okay. You're enjoying today's game in your new 15 Kia Sorento LX from Peters Kia. Stylish, incredibly comfortable, and all yours for just $199 a month. And because Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty is included, you still have plenty of cash for a few snacks on the way home. Enjoy the ride. Brought to you by Peters Kia. Exit 7W Nashua. 39-month, 12,000-mile per year lease with $3K down. Security deposit and admin fees included. Stock number 15KA95. Offer ends September 30th.
Silver Chariot Personal Transportation Service, going first class, was never easier. So they cater to you 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. They have the best service for the best rates, bar none. They are the premier transportation service to all New England sporting events, and also specializing in airport service and nights out on the town. Just call 603-424-2181 or visit them online at silverchariot.com and make sure to like them on Facebook.
Come home to the Homestead, located at 432 Boston Post Road next to Sauhegan High. It's family owned and operated, and they have what you want. Full service Boar's Head Deli, got that. Locally grown and produced eggs, produce, maple syrup, and honey, got that. Jake's Ice Cream, got that. Fresh roasted iced coffee for only $1, got that. Craft beers and fine wines, got that as well. Plus, they were voted the #1 deli in Amherst. So come home to the Homestead, where you are family, located at 432 Boston Post Road next to Sauhegan High. Visit their website, homesteadgroceryanddeli.com.
Hi, it's Bob and Kathy from Bob's Discount Furniture.
With an untouchable deal on the space-saving Dalton bedroom.
Dresser, mirror, and an awesome storage bed in your choice of queen or king size, only $9.99.
And this is no ordinary storage bed. There's 4 drawers in the base, plus headboard storage.
My Dalton storage bedroom is only $9.99 and only at My Bob's Discount Furniture or online at mybobs.com.
No phony sales or gimmicks.
Just untouchable value.
Come to Bellman Jewelers in tax-free Manchester, New Hampshire to discover what the Bellman's Advantage is all about. Bellman's has always featured quality jewelry at a fair price with excellent service. Whether it's me or my husband, we always choose Bellman's because the majority of their finished jewelry and engagement mountings are manufactured in-house, eliminating the middleman, which saves us money. And of course, no sales tax. My husband knows to shop at Bellman's. Do you?
Bellman's Jewelers located at 1650 Elm Street in Manchester, or visit them online at bellmans.com.
Do you search the house for hidden bottles of alcohol? Do you feel like a failure because you can't get a problem drinker to quit? Do you care about someone who seems to care more about drinking than anything else? Do you think if the drinker stopped drinking, your other problems would be solved? Living with a problem drinker can be scary and lonely, but no one has to face such stressful problems all alone. Local Al-Anon family groups can help. Women and men who have experienced the same difficulties are willing to share what worked for them. There is hope and help in Al-Anon family groups for anyone who has been affected by someone else's drinking. Are you troubled by someone's drinking? You might be surprised at what you could learn in an Al-Anon family group from people just like you. For more information, go to alanonfamilygroups.org. or call 1-888-4-AL-ANON to find an Al-Anon meeting near you.
You like sports? We've got it all right here on ESPN New Hampshire.
Yeah, Mike Bayless, as you mentioned, I think people throughout the state hear the name Bayless and they get excited, just like every other Bayless I've ever met. I mean, he's a character young man. This year we are looking for him to lead our offense as a quarterback. The natural progression for him is being that threat on the ground.
Mike Bayless takes over the quarterback controls for the Bedford Bulldogs in 2014, the number 3 in our FNL poll, Bedford Bulldogs. Taking on Memorial tonight. Tommy Amin is there. He'll give us a report here in just a few moments. We're also going to check in with South Salem, Exeter Central, and our Peters Kia game of the week, BG at Londonderry. That's all coming up here in the next 5 or 10 minutes.
We are almost there, my friend. We are less than 10 minutes away from kickoff around the Granite State. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at ESPNNH for all your scoreboard updates all night long. As we have FNLNH, as we have 12 games covered, so you can follow us for all your scoreboard updates all night long, or just listen to the ESPN radio app Just simply download it on your smartphones and go to ESPN Radio, scroll past all those other stations, and get right to New Hampshire, favorite it, and listen to it every Friday night.
Nashua South taking on Salem tonight. That one could have been our Peters Kia game of the week, but I guess, you might as well pick out of a hat at that point. Either way, two good teams going at it. Tom King of the Nashua Telegraph is in Salem. Tom.
Hi, guys. Here at Salem High School, Grant Field. Nashua High School South is hoping it doesn't become Grant's tomb tonight. For the first time in 3 years, Trevor Knight will not be at the quarterback position or on the field for Nashua South. The era is over. He's now at UNH. Malik Langa will take control tonight. Now, what happens tonight with Langa at quarterback is it takes a little bit away from the weaponry that South has because he was a weapon last year for Knight. So Nashua South and Scott Knight are going to have to come up with some new weapons for Langa to use at quarterback. At Salem, everybody is talking about Salem and their wing T offense. John Saratani, the senior quarterback, leading them. Salem got off to a rough start last year. They won 4 out of their last 6 games. And a lot of people think the Blue Devils will be a matchup, will be a team that will give you a tough matchup each and every weekend this season. A lot of people are looking at Salem as one of the most improved teams in the state. Nashua South, it's all about their offense and how they score. They basically made a living out of outscoring the other team. It's a warm night. Expect a lot of players to be in and out of the lineup. Expect a lot of stoppages, I would imagine, with cramping. But we'll see what we can do here at Grant Field and give it a go. Nashua South, Salem reporting from Salem High School. I'm Tom King for Friday Night Lights.
South and Salem getting going in just a few minutes. That report of the Nashua South Purple Panthers brought to you by Peters Kia of Nashua, where you always get their best price the first time. Visit petersauto.com. Nick and Astis, Rich Flera here, year number 13 of FNL. And one of the reasons I really like South this year is because of the experience, because of the athletes. Those guys over there at that program go at it really 12 months a year when you consider the 7-on-7s and, some of the team players-only workouts that go on in the summers. I think Scott Knight's got one of his better groups this year.
Yeah, he was excited about it. He emphasized that. Look, we lost Trevor, and of course, those are big shoes to fill, but don't underestimate the guys who came back. He returned a big senior class led by Andrew DeCarteret, who I already talked about. Malik Yanga will take over. Look, they're going to run the ball. They're going to have success doing it, and I think that they will have a very, very good season. It's tough to say that they're going to be better than last year because, obviously, how can you improve when you have Trevor Knight, who's now playing for the UNH Wildcats, and Coach McDonald, but I think they'll be just as good.
All right, let's head back to the phones where Steve Finley, one of our new correspondents, is ready to rock. Exeter, number 5 in our poll, taking on Manchester Central at Gill Stadium. Steve, how are you, my friend? And we've got Steve.
Perfect night for football.
Steve, we lost you there for a second. That was our fault. Let's start from the top. What's the scene like at Gill Stadium?
Oh, it's a beautiful day. The sun's just now going down. They just kicked the lights on about 30 seconds ago. The band's on the field. The crowd's still filling in. People are still filing in. There's a line outside at the gate. They had a game previous to this one, so the gate opened a little late.
Steve, what can you tell us about Exeter? They have a big offensive line. How they look out there in warm-ups?
Oh, they looked huge in warm-ups, honestly. You look across the field, you can tell this game will be won or lost in the trenches. Exeter has a lot of size on their offensive line, and Central just isn't as big.
Yeah, we're talking again with Steve Finley, one of our new correspondents over at Gill Stadium. Anything else, Steve, that's noteworthy that you can see? Size, we kind of had a feeling Exeter might be a little bigger on paper, but it seems like that's the biggest glaring difference that you can see.
Yeah, the size is the biggest difference. Central does have a top 50 wide receiver. He's top 50 in New Hampshire, and I think he's going to have to make a huge difference. His name's Nate Guillermo. He's a senior, so this is his last go-around. and I think he can be a difference maker this game, especially with the size that Exeter has. They might not be as fast.
We'll keep an eye on Nate Guillermo and the Little Green as they look to pull off the upset in their own building tonight against Exeter. Steve, great job, my man. Let's talk again real soon.
Okay.
That's Steve Finley out there at Gill Stadium in Manchester. I mean, the Little Green, traditionally, Rich, as we know, good program. Good coaches for years, good quarterback over there for years, but Coach Ray, I think, has got his hands full this year based on what we saw a week ago at the Jamboree where they were shut out and beaten pretty handily by BG. Central is the underdog tonight.
Yeah, look, it's tough to envision Central an underdog at Gill Stadium when it's just that. The size and the strength of the Exeter Bluehawks rolling in there tonight, I think, is going to be too much for the Little Green to handle. But Steve did mention Nate Guillermo, who is a dynamic playmaker on the outside for the Little Green. If they have any chance at all, he's going to make a couple big plays. Now
to our Peters Kia game of the week. Jeremy Levier is in Londonderry. The number 6 Bishop Girton Cardinals are taking on the Lancers. Jeremy, this is a big game, as we know, my friend. What do you think tonight? Is this pretty even both ways?
Yeah, I think it'll be pretty even both ways. I think if I had to pick a favorite, I'd probably say BG. They were a little bit better last year, even though of course Londonderry made the playoffs. BG didn't. BG had a better record. BG looked pretty good in the Queen City Jamboree last weekend when they beat Central pretty easily. They have some good weapons. Jackson Houseman is bigger and faster, stronger than he was last year. Junior running back. Also comes out of the slot for them. Their quarterback, Jordan Risco, looked pretty good for them. First year starting quarterback for the Cardinals. Londonderry has a lot of players coming back from their playoff team last year. I think it should be a fun one here. Londonderry's got the home field advantage, and their crowd is rocking. They have a packed house here ready to watch this one. We're at the national anthem, so I'm going to sign off here to honor our country. But reporting live, Jeremy Levier for Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire.
All right, thanks, Jeremy. We'll get back to you in just a moment. Again, that's our Peters Kia game of the week. Number 6, Bishop Girton, taking on
Londonderry.
Thank you.
In Londonderry, look, the Lancers, the field that Coach Sawyer built over there, Bishop Girton's going to have their hands full. But I think, we'll wait for predictions. We're going to get to predictions soon enough here, so I will leave it at that.
Our Peters Kia game of the week brought to you by Peters Kia of Nashua, where you always get their best price the first time. Visit petersauto.com. All right, the games are about to get going statewide. We're going to have the scores piling in here hot and heavy. Our Beals Insurance scoreboard is coming up, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this Peters Kia game of the week when we return. We'll also make our predictions. We're going to count them this year as well. We're going to keep track throughout the season. So don't go anywhere. We're just getting going here. Year number 13, week number 1 here of Friday Night Lights on ESPN New Hampshire, online at espnnhradio.com.
Come to Bellman Jewelers in tax-free Manchester, New Hampshire to discover what the Bellman's Advantage is all about. Bellman's has always featured quality jewelry at a fair price with excellent service. Whether it's me or my husband, we always choose Bellman's because the majority of their finished jewelry and engagement mountings are manufactured in-house, eliminating the middleman, which saves us money. And of course, no sales tax. My husband knows to shop at Bellman's. Do you?
Bellman's Jewelers, located at 1650 Elm Street in Manchester, or visit them online at bellmans.com.
Hey folks, Paul Yarmo here, Keller Williams Realty. If you're looking to sell your home fast and for top dollar, call me. At Team Yarmo, each member of my team has a specific role to play in the selling of your home. You don't need a listing agent, you need a marketing agent, a marketing team. There's no risk and no high pressure. You can even watch my listing presentation before I visit your home at teamyarmo.com. If you do, I bet you'll call me at 882-9900.
An ESPN Radio Mike and Mike Extra Point.
So Gino Auriemma, who is the basketball coach at the University of Connecticut, through an intermediary, a friend of his, checked with the school's compliance department and then got on the phone with Monet Davis to congratulate her. An unnamed representative of another program, and they can report these things anonymously, called that in as a violation. Right. Because would anyone put their name to that? I'll just say this. I challenge you, whoever you were, that call that in as a violation, come out from under the rock. Come out into the light and tell everyone that you decided to call the NCAA and say that should be a violation. That person will never do so. I would much rather my daughter play for the coach who called Monet Davis than the coach or whomever it was from whatever school it was where they called that in as a violation.
Hear more from Mike and Mike Monday morning on ESPN Radio.
Here's a dose of reality. Colder weather is on its way. Hopefully, not inside your house. That's why the Home Depot now has select special order Anderson windows and patio doors for 10% off. So, let's stop winter cold with top quality windows, patio doors, and a very real 10% savings. Let's do this. Special order Anderson windows and patio doors, 10% off. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. Valid through September 10th. U.S. only. See store for details.
You can make a world of difference with a little flu shot. When you get your immunization at Walgreens, you'll help provide a life-saving vaccine to a child in need through the UN Foundation's Shot at Life campaign. Thanks to customers like you, last year we helped supply 3 million vaccines. This year, let's give even more. Simply get a shot and give a shot. Walgreens, at the corner of happy and healthy.
Valid through October 13th, 2014. Aggregate donation up to $1 million. Vaccine subject to availability. Some restrictions may apply. See walgreens.com/get-a-shot.
Beals Insurance Agency is proud to announce the opening of their new Londonderry office. Located on Route 102, Beals Insurance is committed to serving Londonderry, Hudson, Wyndham, and Litchfield, while offering the best price and quality coverage that's right for you. Whether it's home, auto, or business insurance, make the right call with Beals Insurance Agency. Call Steve at 603-471-9999 or visit bealsinsurance.com. Kimball's Cavern is a family-run restaurant perfect for the entire family. Kimball's Cavern is a staple in the community and is the official home of the Pembroke Spartans. Each and every Friday during the high school football season, Kimball's will honor a player of the night with a free pizza and pitcher of soda. So be sure to check out their Facebook page for daily food and beverage specials.
Kimball's Cavern, located at 351 Pembroke Street, Pembroke, New Hampshire. Your home away from home.